Well, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham introducing a bill to ban abortion nationwide after 15 weeks, except in the cases of rape, incest, or to save the life of the mother.
Now, the issue of abortion is being used to galvanize voters on both sides of the political spectrum following the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, continuing to be a huge topic as we go into the midterm elections in November. Let's bring in our panel to discuss. The host of the Eat, Drink, Smoke radio show, Tony Katz, and the director of press communications for the Trump 2020 campaign, Aaron Perini. Aaron, I'm going to start with you. Are you surprised by what Senator Graham is doing, considering many Republicans are saying that abortion should be illegal at all times, except in the case of rape, incest, or concern of the mother's life?
I think that this 15th piece of legislation, on its face, at its merit, from what little I've been able to read, I haven't read the full legislative text, is probably where most Republicans lie. But the problem here is, one, the timing. We're less than 2 months from Election Day. Republicans need to be focused on the message about the economy, inflation, that we are 17 months in a row where inflation has outpaced real wage growth under Biden. The American people are telling us what they want to talk about, and it's the economy. And for those candidates in states where there are more purple states or swing states, having to relitigate this, if you've already said that you believe this should have been decided at the state level and not the federal level, in the home stretch, again, is getting Republicans off the winning message, which is the economy going into the midterm.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you're a political professional, so I really respect how you're looking at this, that maybe this should be pushed back. But it does seem, Tony, that the abortion issue must have gotten somebody's attention in the Republican Party, because if you were to wave a wand and say this was the law of the land, 15 weeks, which essentially was Dobbs, the issue kind of goes away.
No, it doesn't go away. That's the whole point. That Lindsey Graham is bringing this up is very odd. The only thing that you could say in its favor is that at least it's something that would be voted on, as opposed to something that would be a decision, the usurpation of states' rights. This was a states' rights conversation to begin with. And now Lindsey Graham is uncomfortable that states might make decisions and people are going to have to come out and say what they actually believe. That's the republic, baby. Messy, and that's the way it works. He's creating an issue where one doesn't have to be created. I live in Indiana. This is a litigated issue after the General Assembly passed legislation about abortion restrictions. They go into effect in just a few days. More legislation, more lawsuits are going to come. Well, of course that's going to be the case. But people have to put themselves on the line. This is what I believe. This is what I don't believe. This is what I think we should do. This is where we can compromise. That's the system. Lindsey Graham is opening up a can of worms for no reason, and it won't satisfy anybody. So, Senator Graham, stop.
I love that. I'll put something out there, Antonio just
like,
hit it
absolutely
out, said, no,
not.
Bob, once again, you're wrong. Which I appreciate. No, that's why I love having you there.
Yeah, I want to ask you, Aaron, you mentioned that maybe that this should be an issue that is delayed with Republicans, but also we were originally hearing about the big wave, the big red wave coming in November, and then that has been reduced to what some say could be a red trickle instead. Do you think that the GOP realized that this abortion issue might mobilize voters to vote Democrat, even if they're independents, and that's why Senator Graham is trying to bring up something that might be more of a moderate, broader, accepted abortion rule?
Senator Graham's trying to provide air cover for those who might be in tough races and want a place that they can fall on the spectrum when it comes to being pro-life or pro-choice, right? Those are the conversations they're having. But this should have been figured out at the state level a long time ago, because for the last 50 some odd years, the pro-life caucus has been saying we need to get rid of Roe. They should have been doing the work at the state level to be able to say, and this is where our state is going to fall on this once the federal legislation is overturned. Now, to the actual midterms here and what effect this has had, it's actually had a pretty strong effect. It has definitely galvanized Democrats and the Democrat base. It has certainly put more independents on the map going into the midterm. But I will say this, when we look at modeling and how things are moving right now, internally in polling that I'm seeing across the spectrum, what we're seeing is independents are modeling slightly more conservative than Democrats. So while Democrats may see that as a big hope that it'll slow the red wave, we're still seeing a lot of indications that polling hasn't figured it out yet, that Republicans are still on good ground going into the midterm.
Final thought on this, Tony.
No, I think that's absolutely right. If you were to pretend that polling right now matters, you would see Oz closing in Pennsylvania. You'd see Masters closing in Arizona. You'd see Herschel Walker ahead of Senator Raphael Warnock in Georgia. And you would see J.D. Vance still ahead in Ohio. So if they win only by a percentage point, it's still a win. So what is the argument about this trickle? That's a media conversation. That's not a real life on the ground conversation.
Just one more question. Let's Go Bourbon. Is that new?
Oh, gosh, that book's been out for almost a year. We're working on Let's Go Barbecue next. Wait for it. Get it at Amazon right now.
I'm not big on bourbon, but I'll be there for the barbecue.
My husband is huge on bourbon. Christmas gift noted.
We'll go to the same party. We'll have bourbon and barbecue.
There we go.
Tony, thank you. Erin Perini, both of you, if you would stick around coming up.
English teacher's attempt to educate her students has backfired with parents in the area. Now, the teacher handed out a worksheet with several controversial vocabulary items on it that the students should incorporate in their lessons. Phrases like white privilege, indigenous peoples, Latinx, and transgender were included.
Yeah, that's not all. The lesson also told students if they did not use the words when they were, then they were part of the problem. Let's bring our panel back. Erin Perini, Tony Katz, and John Burnett joins us as well. By the way, my wife is Hispanic, and the whole Latinx thing just seems silly. The community she comes from, Hispanic, has worked just fine. Right. For a very long time. So now if you want to say Mexican-American or Puerto Rican-American or whatever your background, that's fine. The whole Latinx thing just seems completely made up.
Right. And we've seen it in polls and surveys that the Hispanic community is rejecting this new wave of wokeism.
Colleges don't, though.
Right. Exactly. If anything, it speaks against what these white liberals are pushing on various ethnic groups, right? The fact that they're pushing their own way of how they view the future, right?
Like,
so they're actually speaking against their wokeism. How woke is that?
John,
very meta.
The ultimate problem here is that you won't let them help you. If only you, John, would allow white liberals to help you be a better you, you'd be a better you, but you won't let them help you, so now you're just you.
Erin Perini, get us out of this vicious loop. Your response to what this teacher has done. I mean, is this really what truly kids, should be learning in school? Can't that just be an elective that they may choose to take or their parents choose to allow them to take separately?
No, this should not be what students are learning in school, because we're seeing time after time when test results are coming in that students are falling further behind because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So the time is now for action. They need to step up. Parents need to step in, get involved, and they should be pushing for a parental bill of rights to make sure that they have a say in their children's education. That's not a radical notion, but Democrats want you to believe it is.
By the way, folks, we're watching at the White House, President Biden, he's out there trying to tout the inflation numbers in August. I got news for you. They were not good. That's why the stock market's down over 1,200 points right now. So I don't know if he got that memo, but talking about the Inflation Reduction Act, which, again, misnamed. But let's continue our conversation. Although this does bother me a little bit, John. I mean, it's the Inflation Reduction Act is not.
It's not reducing anything, right? But the thing is
it
that
increases spending.
But the Republicans have to stay on message. The Democrats, they want to do anything to take our minds off our everyday lives in terms of what we're paying in the grocery store, what we're paying for rent, and God knows where the interest rates are going, right? So the middle class and working class are being crushed. But we can't talk about this woke stuff, right? We got to focus on everyday lives. You know, what's hurting pocketbooks and so forth, right? The pain of the people. If we focus on the pain of the people and not politics, we will crush it in the midterm elections going into 2024.
Yeah, Aaron, I think this is right up your alley. Your thoughts. Do you agree with John?
I do. We do need to stay laser focused, and the economy is such an important issue for Republicans to talk about. They have a contrast point. When Republicans were in power, we lowered taxes and we made it easier for businesses to get started by small business owners. We know the lifeline of the American economy. Contrast that to what we're seeing with Biden, where wages are down and inflation is up. It is expensive to be an American in Joe Biden's economy. Republicans need to stay focused on that economic message, and that is a success for midterm.
Yeah, and Tony, we've got food up around 13% over the past 12 months. Hasn't been that level since 1979.
Right. And this inflation report, as you were talking about, you have every right to be infuriated by it. Medical costs up and housing up. When you see a 30-year fixed over 6%, that's going to change a lot of things. Of course, the Fed is going to raise interest rates by another 0.75 of a point. To hear Jerome Powell be as clear as he is about, I'm not going to be Paul Volcker. I'm not going to make those mistakes of the past. We are going to keep hammering interest rates and raising interest rates until morale improves. That's one heck of a message. And one, as you see President Biden there
will continue.
cheering himself, he doesn't quite understand.
Let's listen into the president.
Climate crisis and increase our energy security ever in the whole world. And that's not hyperbole, that's a fact. We're going to build a future, the future, here in the United States of America, with American workers, with American companies, with American-made products. And after years of some of the biggest corporations in the United States paying zero in federal income tax.
Yeah, if they're paying zero taxes, that doesn't mean they're evading taxes. They're taking advantage of the tax system. But again, the president talking there. Love this panel. John, Aaron, Tony, thank you so much for being with us. We'll be back with more of American Agenda right after this.